All right, so this is part 2 of 1 of child growth and development. Again, if you haven't watched part 1, please go back and watch it on your own time. There should be some kind of quiz at the end of it. If it doesn't give you one, please feel free to reach out for it. That kind of allows us to know if you watched the video or not. And then once you have watched it and done the quiz, let us know, and then we will record that as well. We kind of have like a running list that we're going to submit to the state, and it is within 1 year of when you have started working. So don't think that it's like at the end of the calendar year or anything like that, especially joining us 6 months in to the year already. So child growth and development. So again, just a reminder, it's crucial that young children have opportunities to develop their brain through the interaction and stimulation. Different kinds of ways that us as caregivers are going to be able to interact and stimulate their brains is by getting down on the ground with them, playing with them, singing songs, reading a book, lots of different ways. And as we're doing that with children, even infants, it's making these positive connections in their brain all day long. That's what their brains are doing, is just making these positive connections and allowing their brain to grow. The more positive connections, the more their brain is going to be stimulated and continue that growth. There are windows of opportunity for young children to grow and develop in different skill sets. Here's a little chart. We develop our vision function around birth to 6 months. You know, when children are first born, they can't actually see very far. So that's why when you're talking to a baby, it's important that you're not like across the room or anything. They really can't see you very well. And then up to 6 months is when they can see, they can start to see like we see. Motor development, gross and fine. Remember that gross motor development is things like jumping, skipping, walking, and then those fine motor skills are like holding a pencil, feeding themselves, coloring those smaller muscle groups. So this window is actually the longest window. It's prenatal to 8 years old. And so in that time, you know, we are learning to crawl, learning to walk, learning to run, skip, jump, you know, kick a soccer ball, things like that. And in that window, we really need to encourage children to have those developmental stages, you know, not skipping, crawling, you know, not going from, you know, little skills to larger skills very fast. A gradual thing is very important for them, and to just encourage them to try to crawl. Some kids like to army crawl, bear crawl, whatever it might be, and then they might crawl on their knees for a week and then start walking. But encouraging that along the way is very helpful. Emotional control, birth to 3 years. This is when children are starting to see and understand emotions. They're going to see it on their caregiver's face, their adult's face, whoever is with them. They're going to notice furrowed eyebrows, they're going to notice tears, they're going to notice a smiling face, they're going to notice your teeth, things like that. And then as they get older, they can start to put a word to those emotions. You know, is this happy? Is this sad? And so it's really important that in these centers, that when a child is feeling a big emotion, that you help them identify it. Hey, it looks like you're feeling sad. Hey, it looks like you're angry. I'm so sorry. You know, let's figure out how we can help you in this situation, right? So that way they know how to deal with those big emotions and also put a word to it, so they can next time maybe try to express that to an adult, to their friend, whatever it might be. Vocabulary and speech, birth to 3 years. You know, the babies go from crying to cooing and babbling. They go to 1 words to 2 words to 3 word sentences, and they just continue to grow from there. And something that's really important as caregivers to help develop this vocabulary and speech is that we don't just do baby talk to the children, that we actually talk to them and try to help them to mimic normal conversation, or, you know, how a normal sentence is structured, how words are, you know, actually spoken, you know, not just like baba, it's bottle, right? Even though they might say baba, that's totally fine, but you saying bottle is important for them to know that those two words mean the same thing. So that way they don't just think a bottle is a baba, they know that to make that connection. And then last is math and logic. From 1 to 4 years, we start to understand counting. We start to put things in groups. We start to see children develop just those math skills. They also start to recognize numbers as well as letters, and they start to gain those skills. Serve and return is a really important process in childcare that we as childcare providers can have in these centers. So positive or responsive interactions between children and the people who are caring for them. So serve and return is fundamental for the wiring of the brain, like I talked about, those positive connections. Caregivers who give attention, respond and interact with the child are literally building the child's brain. And it's crucial to talk, sing, read, and play with young children from the day that they are born. So like we talked about earlier, you know, talking like an adult, singing songs, reading, playing, all of those things stimulate the child's brain and create those positive interactions for them to continue to grow. It is so important for us to actually be interacting rather than just making sure everyone is safe at daycare. Our job is to help these children grow into functioning, you know, children. And in order to do that, we need to be interacting with them. Relationships and brain development. This is something that's really important to talk about. A child's relationship with the adults in their life are the most important influences on their brain development. Loving relationships with responsive, dependable adults are essential to a child's healthy development. And these relationships begin at home with parents and family, but also with caregivers like us. So even though we are subs in the classroom, we can create these positive and healthy relationships with the children. And the way that we do that is by interacting with them, by having positive interactions, by giving them that attention, by responding, by not just going in and expecting them to listen to us. They need to trust us first. Communicating the need. So from birth, young children serve up invitations to engage with their parents and caregivers, and infants do it by cooing and smiling and crying. Like we talked about with vocabulary, this is the first steps for them trying to communicate. Children communicate their needs in lots of different ways, and us as the caregivers really need to be responsive to that. We can't just, you know, be like, you know what, that baby is crying, we're gonna let him cry it out. It's not always the healthiest response. We need to let them know that when they cry, that they're gonna get that attention that they need, whether it's that they're scared, they're in a different place, they're being held by a different person. Those are all very stressful things for a child, and in order for us to allow their stress levels to go back down, we need them to trust us. Toddlers communicate their needs and interests more directly. Each of these little invitations is an opportunity for the caregiver to be responsive to the child's needs. Again, kids are not always going to trust you right away. Some of them will be more trusting, some of them won't. But you know, just little things, they're going to talk to you and ask you things more directly. Toddlers gonna want to tell you stories, gonna want to ask you a million questions, like why are you wearing that shirt, why the sky is blue, why are trees green, things like that. And you as the caregiver can build that trust and that relationship in a short amount of time by just giving them that attention. Responsiveness builds trust. So like I was talking about in the last slide, stress is a cortisol hormone that when released in incorrect levels over time over time inhibits the healthy development in the child's brain. And so high stress levels in infants have been shown to be associated with permanent brain changes. That's why I talked about, not just letting them cry it out. If their parents at home are allowing that, then that's their choice. But us as caregivers, we are not the parents, and we are not there to make that choice. We are there to respond to these children. We are there to make sure that their needs are met. So we need to help with that. High stress levels high levels of cortisol can wear down the brain's ability to function and can disrupt synapse regulation. So the synapse is those positive connections in the brain, and it can slow that down by us not responding in the correct way.
Can you see me?
Sorry, what was that?
Can you see me?
I am not sure. Do you have some comment to add?
No, I agree with you. The kids like to ask questions about you. And
Yes.
what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? Why you have your hair like that? Why are you wearing gloves? Why are you wearing this? Yeah, they're curious.
Yep, exactly. So to continue on, this is the last slide actually, the spectrum of stress. So brief increases in heart rate, mild elevations in stress hormone levels, those are very normal. Like I said, a baby cries, their stress level goes up, they're hungry, they need a diaper change, whatever it might be. And these are things that we can easily bring back down. So first day with a new caregiver, getting a shot, being told no, things like that are things that are going to happen in life, but us as caregivers can help them bring those stress levels back down. Serious temporary stress responses buffered by a supportive relationship. Again, these are things that might happen in life, but as caregivers are able to bring that stress level back down. The loss of a loved one, a natural disaster, frightening injury, things like that are things that we cannot control that happen in life, but as caregivers, we can help them just feel safe and in a good environment. This last one though, prolonged activation of stress response systems in the absence of protective relationships. These are things that we can control as caregivers. We can make sure that they are not abused, that they are not neglected, and they're not having other traumatic experiences in our care. We need to make sure that we are responding to them correctly, that we are talking to them, and that we are making sure that their needs are met. We also have a training about how to spot child abuse and how to report it and when to report things. And that is in another training. And we will talk about that at a different time. But again, these are just things that we know that we can help, and we can help them by making sure that these don't happen. So, okay, so that is the end of this training. Please do not sign off yet. Let me stop my recording.